Hello, sir.
Good day.
How
How are
are-
you?
I'm bad.
Thanks.
Ah, man, I'm good.
Excellent.
I'm good. Yep.
What's on tap? What are you doing?
Not much. What? I miss that.
I wasn't trying to be funny. It was just
I'm
it
home.
done you.
I'm home now.
You are home.
Supposed to be at the cabin still for the rest of the summer.
You are, but you've got other mountains to climb,
I do.
other things to do,
Yeah.
which will be fun.
Maybe I can talk. I don't know if I can talk about it now. Stay tuned, folks.
Nice. Good hook. Good hook.
Maybe mid-September.
My super awesome wife is off on a new adventure.
It's pretty exciting. It is pretty exciting. I'll have lots to share.
You know what I'm
I just
excited
don't
about?
think I can share yet. What are you excited about?
Taking care of 3 dogs by myself again. Super fun.
Nice.
Super fun. Do you know what else I'm excited about?
What?
Having to vacuum every other day because of the 3 dogs and nobody else to do it. It's gonna be super fun.
You do have two children who could do it. You know this.
Ah, excellent point. Thank you for raising that. I do have 2 children, absolutely 100%. Can they do it? They've not demonstrated an ability. Can they do it freely? Absolutely not. It's not ever something that pops into their head. Can they do it after being asked 12 times? 50-50.
I know. Maya, we just got home and Maya, like it slides, man, if I'm not on that girl. And it's been like 6 weeks. And I'm like, you have got, but she knew mom hasn't been home. She knew she had to go do it.
Yeah.
Because it was suffocating. There's no way I could have worked out this morning.
Yeah.
So, because her job is to do the basement. So,
Yeah.
so
It's on tap today. What are we doing?
yeah, this one maybe could have come a little bit earlier in the summer, but hey, never too late. I did this. I'm actually going to recast a show that I did by myself, just on boredom.
So don't be surprised when you don't hear my voice. I'm involved in the production, but behind the scenes.
Yeah, and the intro. But it was supposed to be part of my emotion regulation series that I have going on. Just the function of emotions, why kids, like we need to have all emotions. It wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
And boredom is one of those emotions. It's
100%.
very good for us.
Yeah.
And so we need to capitalize on boredom and we need to make sure that kids, yeah, are bored and feel bored.
Yeah.
And so, hey, it takes the pressure off you of trying to fill up time. And I find usually midsummer, like end of July, for sure, like middle of August now, there's some kids who are just bored and can't wait to get back to school, which is
Heard
maybe a good
it, heard
thing.
it 3 or 4 times this week.
I know.
I can't wait to get back to school. What?
Yeah. Even though she's like, I hate school, but I can't wait to get
Yeah.
back to school.
Yeah. Jesse said the same thing.
Well, and for some kids, they're going to be in for a surprise. Some families are going to be in for a surprise. If you live in our province, teachers
Yeah.
are going on strike. It's not widely known, but
Maybe. We'll see.
maybe.
Right now, you can't fly away anyways because they're on strike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Air Canada's on strike too. Yeah. Anyway,
Enjoy.
enjoy. Okay. Hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode of Overpowering Emotions, where I talk all things big emotions, emotion regulation. Today, I want to talk about boredom. I've had several kids that I'm working with ask about boredom, and it was something I was going to talk about in several weeks, just part of the emotion regulation series, when I start talking about the functions of emotions, and boredom was going to be one of the functions that I was going to be talking about. But with it being summertime at the time of this recording, and sort of at that part of the summer where kids are going to start to get bored, or maybe they've been bored already for a little bit, this is perfect timing. And even if kids are not bored, just because their summer is jam-packed and they're busy every day going to camp or going to do things, it's still really important to listen to this as well, because kids need to have bored time. And it's not just kids. You got to think about how much time you're feeling bored as well. We also need to have boredom periods because we're living in this world. It's just overflowing with so much activity, constant stimulation all of the time. Our brain is constantly being bombarded all day long by stimuli, whether it's audio podcasts. Maybe I shouldn't be admitting this because you're listening or watching right now. But we're taking in, audio, visual, we're on screens all the time. And so it's really easy to become bored, especially with such a stimulating, screens are so stimulating. The minute we're not on a screen, even if we're busy doing other things, it can feel like we're bored. Right. And boredom can start feeling really uncomfortable. It might start feeling like it's a problem to solve. And especially when kids are saying, oh, I'm bored. And so we're like, what about this? And what about this? We're trying to solve it. But it might actually be a solution. So we got to be really careful. Now, as an ADHDer myself, being bored is really hard for me. It's so uncomfortable. So I get it. And it's not even being bored, just like trying to purposely go on vacation to go relax, right? It's uncomfortable for me to embrace doing nothing. But we all will feel like this, whether we have a diagnosis or not. There's always so much to do, right? And I know for me, that's the biggest thing is I can't just sit down and read a book because I've got all these other things that I need to do. It's hard for us to slow down, but our brains aren't built that way. It's not built for all of this busyness. Our brains haven't changed that much in a long time, 250,000 years, right? Most of our time was spent, yeah, we'd be foraging, looking for food, but we'd be also conserving energy where we would just be sitting and resting and waiting, right? Not much to do. So our brain wasn't built for the busyness. It was definitely not built for all of the stimulation that we've get. And we've unfortunately grown very used to filling every single quiet moment filled with something, right? The audio or the visual. Our brains are constantly being bombarded with all of the notifications, the emails, the texts, reels, podcasts, TV, internet, scrolling, background noise. It's just go, 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 go. Even just white noise. We're just always, something's always on the go. We really need to pause and rethink this and what's best for our brain, not just for our kids, but for us as well. Because if we're never stopping to slow down, we can really easily constantly feel anxious or tired to the point of like just exhaustion. We can be easily overwhelmed. We can be really unfocused. Boredom forces us to pause, and that pause gives our brain space to breathe. It just gives our brain a break, which our brain needs, right? Now, when we're looking at boredom, it's not just having nothing to do. Boredom actually is a biological signal. And I'll be talking a lot about that brain body connection and the biological signals, but it's a biological signal coming from our body that there's some mismatch between our internal cognitive energy and whatever the external demands are. Our brains are hungry for stimulation, hungry for novelty, for meaning or challenge relative to our own capacity, right? Or our own expectations. But it's craving these things and it has nothing new to latch onto. And with this screen-filled world, it's even more overstimulated, constantly wanting more of that stimulation. So it's normal to feel bored, obviously, especially in this day and age, but even before, screens were dominating our world. But it's all about how do we respond to that boredom? And how we respond to boredom has everything to do with executive functioning. So our executive functions, our problem-solving capacity, even creativity. Now, unfortunately, we're filling this boredom time usually with more stimulation. We turn to a screen, we start scrolling, right? But when we do that, we're building up this tolerance, and the dopamine hit isn't big enough. Same thing with drugs, right? You start off little, it feels great, but then you need more and more and more. And it's the same thing with screens. We need more and more and more stimulation. And so the big discomfort that we're actually feeling, that biological signal, in this day and age with all the digital screens, it's really a withdrawal symptom. Okay, because we keep getting that dopamine hit. So same thing with drugs. We have uncomfortable withdrawal symptoms. So the junkie just wants to go and get another hit, right, to feel better. And when we're constantly getting that dopamine hit with our screens, our highs from constantly being occupied all the time, just on screens, our brain wants more of that. And now we need more and more and more and a bigger hit because we do start building that tolerance. So all of that to say that's, part of it. It's we have those uncomfortable withdrawal symptoms. So what do we need to do? We got to detox, don't we? But boredom can really stress the executive functioning system in the brain. So when we're looking at the key executive functions that are engaged in our response to boredom, it includes things like cognitive flexibility. That enables a shift in our thinking when a task feels boring, unrewarding, monotonous, repetitive. It also gets the working memory, which allows kids to hold and manipulate ideas to invent maybe alternatives, new solutions. It taps into inhibitory control. So that's preventing impulsive behavior that's driven by the discomfort of boredom. There's planning and organization that supports sort of proactive engagement in an idea generation. It also taps into self-monitoring, which helps kids track how their internal states influencing their thinking or their mood. So without all of those skills, which a lot of our kids don't have, and I will be talking about some of them, impulse control coming up pretty quick here because that's a key foundation for everything. But without those skills, boredom usually leads to reactive behaviors. So it could be the whining, I'm bored, there's nothing to do. It could be irritability, it could be mischief, it could be excessive screen use because they just do that. Maybe it's learned helplessness. So there's a couple of things here when we're looking at this. One is, what if we just sat in that space? Right? Like I said, I'm telling kids, yes, you're bored. This is a perfect opportunity to be able to work on emotion regulation because it's a fairly easy emotion to sit with. It's not quite the same emotion as if your sibling came into your room and messed up your room or took your favorite toy or something like that, right? That could be really overwhelming. So it's a fairly when we're looking at, how challenging, how reactive we might be to something, it's fairly easy to just sit with and really practice riding the wave of discomfort. And I will be talking more about distress tolerance in weeks to come as well as part of this process. But this is a great opportunity to start building that, right? That discomfort, sitting with it and being okay with it. Now, most of us, and most unfortunately our kids, they've learned to avoid quiet, to avoid stillness. We're always using the screens and the noise and the busyness to regulate emotions. And so we're never taught how to just sit with anxiety and sadness and loneliness and shame. Whenever those come up, somebody's reassuring us or trying to make us feel better or distracting us. But we really need to sit with it. And boredom really forces us to be able to confront that inner world, right? Normally, it's very uncharted territory for all of us because we live in this quick fix society. Right? As soon as I have a headache, I've got 5 people. Oh, do you want an Advil? Right? Everyone's like, let's just get rid of that versus just being able to sit in it for a second, right? We're always trying to eliminate any discomfort at any time. So if we really want to help kids regulate emotions, if we want them to tolerate distress, right? If we want them to grow into these reflective, creative humans, we have to let them sit in that discomfort. We need to model it ourselves, right? I'm not just saying, yes, you are bored. Great opportunity for you, but I got to keep myself busy, right? This boredom, it's a great opportunity for all of us to practice in. And there's so many advantages even to boredom. If we do just let it take over a little bit, right? It doesn't matter how old we are, boredom is beneficial because being overstimulated all of the day, even if it's fun stuff, it keeps that brain in high alert mode. So, like I said, boredom gives it space to breathe, to relax, but it gives the brain space to process. Boredom lets our nervous system sort of chill out, right? It chills out, it resets. It's that break that it needs. It's reducing the cognitive overload. It's helping the nervous system move from the fight or flight freeze sort of system into a rest and restore system. We actually can start to feel calmer if we let it happen. If we're trying to fight against it and keep busy, right, we're never going to have that sort of reset. So it's good for all of us, right? And it's good for kids to see us embrace that stillness, to embrace that boredom, right? I'm just going to sit with it. Even if you're not feeling bored and you're just enjoying, whatever, being able to say, yeah, you know what, I'm bored too. Let's just sit in the stillness. That can really normalize the downtime as a healthy time, as an important reset time. Because otherwise, we're just taking the resources from our brain. We're using it. No wonder we're exhausted all the time. It's not punishment. It's not wasted time. It's a necessary, break that our brain and body really need. Now, the other thing is, it's not just reset. That boredom can really boost creative problem solving, We have two brain modes that I talk about, the task positive, the focused, we're working on something mode, right? We're doing our homework, we're doing our craft, we're focusing on something. And then the default mode, that's where our brain actually likes to be. And it should be in the default mode at about 50% of the time. They should be in each of those modes. And that default mode is where boredom activates, right? Or like the default mode's activated in that boredom. This is where the brain starts to wander. Kids get to sort of time travel. Get to think about different scenarios. They get to think abstractly. They're coming up with creative solutions to things. They come up with ideas. Maybe they're combining old knowledge in new ways, right? This is all the daydreaming, all of this. This is where the best ideas pop up. It's not when we're trying to sit down and come up with a good idea. It's usually when we're on a walk, we're not thinking about anything, we're in a shower, right? That's where the best ideas pop up. So when we stop feeding our brains this nonstop input, we're making room for new connections to form. Boredom is the gateway to creativity, right? So I'm saying, yay. If you're bored, that might be the start of some imaginative play. It might be the start of some exploratory problem solving or self-directed learning. During COVID, it was fantastic. My girls were bored. I'm like, okay, well, how are what are you going to do? We're going to sit with this for half an hour and see where your brain goes. And in that half hour, it was incredible. One of them's like, oh, I want to do a PowerPoint presentation. The other one's like, I want to do a PowerPoint presentation. And so just something that they were interested in. One was really interested in learning about Hitler. I think it was grade 3 around that time. But hey, it's self-directed learning. They were really interested in those types of things. So that's sort of the gateway. We need that, right? Maybe they're experimenting with different things. It could be science, it could be artistic, right? Maybe they're creating goals. Maybe they're developing their identity. Our older kids, it might just be figuring out, who am I, right? All of that only happens if we're not jumping in to rescue them with entertainment all the time. If we stop filling this boredom gap and we just let it sit and be there, we're giving our kids very important developmental opportunities to improve their internal locus of control. That's building their resilience. It's fostering independence. It's fostering persistence, right? So we want to make sure that we're capitalizing on it and not trying to give them ideas and fill the space. And even just taking those breaks, short periods of intentional stillness, if we can take a break and close our eyes for 5 minutes, right? Or maybe just watch a tree sway in silence, right? We're going to reset our attention systems. And that's really important for ourselves throughout the day, just to do that. And I know for me, I can get on my computer. I'm like, I got to do this report, or I got to do this thing, or I got to, like this morning from 4 till 10, 6 hours. It's a weekend today, the time I'm recording this, 6 hours. I was stuck on one thing, but I can feel my brain being exhausted. I would have done way better, been way more productive if every 45 minutes or so, I was taking about 5 to 10 minutes just to sit and do nothing. When we do that, it helps us focus better. It helps us become way more productive, right? So if you feel like you can't focus, that's a sign that your brain is probably overworked. So taking those short do nothing breaks, it actually does help with our focus, our energy. It helps you, get back onto tasks with better productivity. So that's really important. So we really want to make sure we're scheduling, even if we're not feeling boredom or having these boredom periods, we want to make sure we're scheduling these micro pauses. It could just be 3 to 5 minutes of that intentional stillness throughout the day, right? The more, the better, really. No phone, no music, no conversation, right? Don't be doing anything. It's literally just nothing, doing nothing. You can close your eyes. You can look out the window. You can just focus on your breath, but it's not actively trying to do anything else, right? And we want to make sure we're teaching kids the same thing so that they can use that as a good ready tool when they go to school. Right. And that's going to be really important just so we can start ingraining it. This is just part of life and living and being productive and, using our creativity. So it's a great skill to learn for mastering emotion regulation as well. So it does tie back into the emotion regulation piece because simply just, sitting and noticing what's going on internally is really going to be important for our kids when I get into these more complex episodes about some of the internal metacognitive sort of approaches where they really have to figure out what's going on inside. And a lot of our kids and even adults, we just have no clue because we're bombarded all the time. We really don't have the opportunity to figure out what's going on internally. So, making sure that they really are having those times to observe their thoughts, their physical sensations, right? Maybe every morning it just becomes a ritual. It's not fixing, it's not judging, it's just noticing what's happening because that's going to be a really important skill to bring to big emotions when those big emotions come up. Part of this to make sure that we're capitalizing on this boredom stillness period is just to normalize it. We want to frame boredom, just like any other emotion, as a normal emotional signal. It's not something to be feared. It's not something to be eliminated. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that when I do get all the different emotions, even really uncomfortable ones. It's not anything to eliminate or try to fix. We can change our language a little bit, right? So instead of I'm bored, maybe I'm resetting, or I'm giving my brain a break, or I'm taking a creativity break or something like that, right? Because sometimes it's I'm bored, it just comes with this negative connotation. And sometimes it's just that little linguistic shift that can make all the difference. So if we're encouraging kids to adopt, this different type of language, it just really helps them understand that doing nothing is also doing something and is also important for our overall well-being, right? So that can be really helpful. Definitely take breaks from tech. Definitely reduce the stimulation. You, kids, everybody, watch things like caffeine, multitasking, even just background noise. Okay, especially if you're already feeling edgy, that's just adding to that stimulation. And kids can pick up on our dysregulation too. Calmer adults equals safer emotional environments where our kids are going to be better able to regulate their emotions. All emotions have benefits. I'm going to be talking about that in weeks to come. Never problems to fix, just remember that. And with boredom, it's really an invitation to reset, to reflect, maybe to reconnect. We just want that boredom to play out. Not rushing into, fill the space or find solutions. We want them to be able to just sit in that discomfort long enough. That's going to stimulate initiative, whatever initiative that they've got, right? So letting them be bored, it's probably just the best thing you could do for them and for yourself for the summer, right? Just having that time. All of this to say, though, I do have a list of activities that I've put together over the years. I'm going to put that in the show notes. I'd say, at a different time when kids aren't saying that they're bored, you can show them that list. Maybe, before they say bored, you can be proactive and say, hey, here's a list of different things, feel free. You can use it like a menu sort of thing. Don't say when you're bored, right? But you can just say that it's there because that could be one of the things that they are figuring out, okay, how am I feeling? What am I doing? Now I'm creative, right? But now I've got this list that's going to now spark some creativity after they've had a little bit of a break reset, right? So we just want to use that resource proactively, right? Rather than reactively trying to get them to choose something when they're saying that they're bored, right? We want them deciding on their own and seeking that out on their own. So that's going to be really important. I'll leave it there today. Hopefully that's helpful. Definitely use this opportunity to maximize sitting in discomfort because that's going to be the work that's going to be coming and a little bit harder of the work. So we really want to capitalize on this. But have a great day. Help those kiddos be bold and courageous, and I will see you next time.